Hello. Welcome to the Ohio State Animal Sciences Podcast. I'm Alec Rush. In this episode, we're going to take a look at some modern animal production techniques. In the age of information, how has animal science kept up with the other sciences in terms of technology? What fancy new cutting-edge methods are being used by farmers these days? Well, one thing being used is something called precision technology. This is a big term that encompasses a lot of things, so we're going to explore some of the techniques being used by farmers today, as well as some that are still on the horizon. Generally, precision technology is what it sounds like, focusing on precise, small-scale things. Livestock farming is a large-scale operation, so being very precise might not seem intuitive, but focusing on each individual animal to optimize its production can really help with the big picture. The main concept at work here is something called precision livestock farming, or PLF. This is a pretty broad term that refers to various technologies used to optimize each animal's production. So let's take a closer look at some of the ways this is done. But before we get into the newest gadgets, let's take a step back. When did this all begin? What was the first piece of so-called precision technology used in farming? One could argue that it's the cowbell. By tying a bell around a cow's neck, a farmer could hear it even if it was out of sight. This was the first step taken in tracking technology for livestock. There is evidence of cowbells from as early as thousands of years ago. In the past few decades, farmers have taken advantage of newer technologies to better keep track of their animals. In the 1970s, for example, farmers attached pedometers to cows to better understand their daily activity and keep track of their hormone cycles. Since then, tracking technology has come a long way. Instead of pedometers, farmers use ear tags to track livestock and collect data from individual animals. The more information farmers have about their animals, the better care they can take of them, and the more productive the animals will be. Since this podcast is about animal sciences, we're of course talking about precision technologies in the context of livestock farming. But that's not the only area where such technologies are used. Another prominent field, if you'll excuse the pun, is the crop farming side of agriculture. In a lot of ways, the plant world is pretty far ahead of the animal world when it comes to these types of technological advances. Precision farming in the plant industries has enabled farmers to automate the steering of their tractors, measure the productivity of their field down to the square yard, and prescribe very specific inputs, such as fertilizer, at this same scale. While farmers used to manage the whole field as a single unit, precision farming now allows them to manage each area within the field differently, and some even manage each plant specifically. One possible reason precision technology in the animal world might be lagging behind a little bit is social pushback. There's sort of a delicate balance to strike between productivity and animal welfare. For example, a possible future application of precision technology would be virtual fencing. Instead of actual boundaries, such as electric fences, livestock would have a device on them that would sort of administer an electric shock or pulse when they reached a virtual border. Ideally, this wouldn't harm them, and they'd quickly learn the boundaries. This would be an incredibly efficient way to manage livestock. But something like this is hard to implement because of the implications and social pushback. Another possible drawback of precision technologies is having too much information. This sounds counterintuitive, but as precision technology gets better and better and farmers are able to collect more and more data about their livestock, they then have to analyze all that data to understand what it means. Not only that, but the issue of who owns the data can also be a factor. But despite some difficulties, the techniques encompassed by precision livestock farming have improved things in a lot of ways. We've talked about basic things like tracking animals, so let's delve a little deeper into some specific examples of precision technology. Here's a cool example: real-time sound analysis to detect health status in pigs. Microphones are used to monitor the sounds that pigs make. If a pig is sick with a respiratory disease, the sound will be different, and an algorithm will be able to pick out this sound and all the noise and know the difference. Another example is automated monitoring of animals' behavior. A person can watch animals and log their behavior, and that's how it's been done for a long time. But a person can't be watching 24/7. Cameras can be set up to observe animals, and an automatic image processing program can recognize and record their behavior. Earlier, I mentioned tags to track and record activity. But there are even more advanced sensors that can measure body temperature, weight, udder health in cows, hormones, and more. Another area of precision technologies is robotics. For example, automatic milking systems can not only get more milk from dairy cows, but in a way that's more comfortable for the cattle. Artificial insemination is a very useful technology. This, along with the ability to cryogenically preserve specimens, has allowed for much greater precision in artificial selection and breeding. I've already mentioned collecting data on the farm itself, but another useful precision technology is being able to track data about food products all the way to stores and restaurants, and even consumers through something called blockchain. This makes it easy to, say, recall a product if it has been discovered to be contaminated. While taking care of animals is a profession that has been around for thousands of years, it's not immune to new innovations and technology. Precision farming has countless applications for animal production, and we've only really scratched the surface. Like all other technological advances, it comes with its own complications. But precision technology has already seen some really cool uses, with more surely to come in the future. We live in the age of information, and that applies to animal production as well. By precisely collecting data, farmers can take better care of their animals and optimize production. When I think about technology advancing as we move into the future, my mind usually goes to areas like communication, the newest and coolest smartphone, or maybe transportation, flying cars, or maybe even concepts like artificial intelligence. But technological advances are happening in all sorts of places, including livestock farming. Precision technology is changing the way we do things, and I, for one, can't wait to see where it takes us next. Thank you for listening. I'm Alec Rush, and this has been the Ohio State Animal Sciences Podcast. See you next time.